The Lantern Seed. A 30-minute bedtime story, a soft, warm tale about a tiny seed who dreamt of glowing like the moon. Chapter 1. The Seed Who Dreamed of Light in the deepest corner of an old, peaceful forest, where moss grew thick and soft enough to sink into like a pillow, there lay a tiny seed. It was no different from any other seed in size or shape, small, round, and ordinary. But inside, it carried a feeling most seeds never discover, the dream of glowing like the moon. Every night, when the sky turned dusky blue and shadows stretched out to rest, the seed gazed upward from the forest floor. Even though it had no eyes, it could feel the moonlight the way one feels a warm blanket. How wonderful it must be, the seed thought, to shine so softly that you comfort the whole world. The seed imagined itself glowing like a lantern, lighting the forest with a gentle shine that didn't scare the night but made it friendlier. Night after night, while owls whispered through the branches and crickets played their tiny violins, the seed whispered its wish down into the soil. I want to glow like the moon. The soil, old and wise and patient, wrapped itself lovingly around the small dreamer. Sleep, the soil murmured. Dream. Grow slowly. Light comes in many forms. The seed didn't understand yet, but it trusted the earth and drifted into dreams as the forest hummed around it. Chapter 2. The Forest That Watches Over. The forest where the seed lived was ancient and vast, filled with trees old enough to have wrinkles beneath their bark. These trees knew the ways of winters and winds, the ways of storms and stillness. They also knew how to listen to dreams. During the day, sunlight sifted down through the leaves like golden dust. At night, moonlight flowed through the branches like silver water. Every creature played a part in the forest's quiet chorus. The rabbits pattered softly across the ground, never stepping too hard. The foxes walked as though their paws were feathers. Even the wind, wild as it sometimes was, softened when entering the deeper parts of the woods, as if bowing respectfully to the ancient trees. And in the middle of all this harmony lay the seed, warm beneath a gentle patch of moss. The forest knew the seed's wish. It wasn't unusual for seeds to dream. Some dream of tall branches, others dream of wide roots, but this was the first seed anyone could remember that dreamed of light. Perhaps, thought the wise oak nearby, it will grow into something the forest has never seen. So the trees leaned in just the slightest bit closer at night, letting more moonlight reach the forest floor. Not enough to disturb the seed, but enough to let it feel hope. Chapter 3. The First Raindrop. One evening, clouds gathered thick and heavy, carrying rain that had traveled far from mountains beyond the forest. A single raindrop, cool and patient, fell straight onto the seed's patch of earth. More follow soft at first, then steady, then playful. The raindrops tapped the soil like gentle fingers, waking the tiny seed from its long dreams. Inside the seed, something stirred, something warm and glowing in spirit, though still invisible to the world. The raindrops whispered, "It's time." The seed trembled, not with fear, but with a quiet excitement. It pushed ever so slightly against its shell. It reached down with the smallest root, like a curious toe testing the ground. The soil welcomed it warmly. Then, slowly, as though stretching after a long, peaceful sleep, the seed reached upward. The forest smiled. Chapter 4. A Sprout in moonlight. Days passed. Nights passed. The seed, now a soft green sprout, grew carefully through layers of soil until one night it finally broke through the forest floor. The first thing it felt was moonlight. Cool, gentle moonlight poured over its small leaf like a blessing. I'm still so small, the sprout thought, looking up shyly at the moon. How can I ever glow like you? The moon said nothing, but its light seemed to settle on the sprout's leaf in a comforting way, the way a mother hand rests on a child's cheek. The forest around the sprout whispered, "Grow slowly. Everything begins small." The sprout nodador. It would have if sprouts could nod. Inside, it held the same dream, though still unsure how it would ever shine. Every night, even as it slept, it whispered, "I want to glow like the moon." And the forest listened. Chapter 5. Friends along the way. As the sprout grew taller, it met friends. A ladybug landed on its leaf one morning and said cheerfully, "You're growing beautifully. What do you want to become?" "A lantern," the sprout said softly. "I want to glow." The ladybug tilted her tiny head. "That's unusual, but unusual dreams make wonderful stories." A caterpillar crawled by and said, "I dreamed of wings before I even knew what wings were." Maybe you're the same. A squirrel paused with a nut in its paws. "Glow. Trees don't glow, but I like your idea." Even the wind whispered encouragement. "You grow with patience. I'll help you dance when you're tall." Little by little, the sprout began believing that maybe, just maybe, its dream wasn't impossible. Chapter 6. These seasons teach their lessons. Spring taught the sprout how to stretch. The forest warmed, sunlight returned in full, and birds sang encouragement from every branch. Summer taught the sprout how to stand tall. Storms came and went, but the sprout held strong, bending gracefully without breaking. Autumn taught the sprout how to let go. Old leaves drifted across the forest like little boats. The sprout learned that not everything must be held tightly. Winter taught the sprout how to rest. Snow covered the ground in a soft, peaceful blanket. Even when frozen, the sprout's dream glowed warmly inside, like a candle kept safe during a storm. Through all these seasons, the sprout grew into a young plant. Still small, still humble, but growing. And every night, every single night, it whispered toward the moon, "I want to glow." Chapter 7. The First Bud. One gentle evening in early spring, when the air smelled faintly of new leaves and the world seemed to exhale after a long winter, something changed. A tiny bud formed at the tip of the plant. It was round, soft, and pale like the moon in miniature. "What is this?" the plant wondered. The trees hummed warmly. "Your first blossom," said the willow, leaning overhead. The plant felt hope bloom inside. "Will it glow?" it asked. "Not yet," said the willow, "but blossoms carry surprises." So the plant waited. It didn't rush. It had learned from the seasons that growth takes patience. Every night, moonlight collected on the bud, as if charging it with secrets. "Every night," the plant whispered, "if you can hear me, little bud, I want to glow." And the bud, though still closed, seemed to listen. Chapter 8. The Night of Opening. Then, one come night so.com, even the breeze slept, the bud began to open. slowly, softly, petal by petal, like a yawn spreading across the face of dawn. Inside was a flower unlike any the forest had ever seen. Its petals were pale, almost silver, with faint lines running through them like tiny rivers of light. They glowed just slightly, that only the plant itself seemed to notice. "I'm glowing," the flower whispered, surprised. "Yes," said the moon, shining brighter for a moment as if smiling. "But this is only your beginning." The flower trembled with quiet joy. It wasn't bright like a lantern yet, not at all, but it had a gentle shimmer, a hint of something magical. The forest gathered close. Owls perched on lower branches. Foxes padded silently to watch. Even the fireflies, who usually stole the show at night, dimmed themselves to let the new flower shine. And under all this attention, the flower whispered its dream again. "I want to glow like the moon." Chapter 9, Learning to Shine. Days turned to weeks, and the flower learned something important. Glowing has many forms. At first, the flower tried to shine harder, as if effort alone would make it bright. But the more it strained, the dimmer it became. One night, the wise oak rustled gently and said, "Light doesn't come from forcing, it comes from being exactly what you are." So, the flower stopped trying to be bright. It simply allowed itself to be present, soft, calm, open to the night. And slowly, a warm glow began to spread from its center. Not blazing, not blinding, but peaceful. Like the glow inside a quiet heart, the forest creatures gathered nightly, not because the flower was brilliant, but because its light felt safe. "You shine in your own way," said the fireflies. "We sparkle. You soothe. You make the night gentler," said the rabbits. "You remind me of the moon," whispered a passing deer. The flower felt its glow strengthen not with brightness, but with meaning. Chapter 10, When Darkness Comes. One night, clouds gathered thick and heavy, covering even the moon. The forest sank into a darkness deeper than the flower had ever known. The animals grew uneasy. Young birds chirped nervously. Mice froze in their steps. The shadows felt longer, heavier. "I wish the moon were here," the flower whispered. Then it remembered something important. It had spent its whole life dreaming of shining, so the flower took a breath not through lungs, but through spirit and opened its petals wider than ever before. Light, soft and warm and gentle as a lullaby, flowed out. Not far, not wide, but enough. Enough to comfort the animals nearby. Enough to soften the darkness around its patch of earth. Enough to make the forest feel less alone. The wise oak whispered, "You've become a lantern after all." The flower glowed throughout the night, holding back just a little of the darkness until dawn arrived. When the sun rose, the flower felt tired but proud. It had done what it always dreamed of doing, offering light when it was needed. Chapter 11. The lantern of the forest word spread throughout the forest of the glowing flower. Animals came from far edges of the woods to see the gentle lantern that glowed in peaceful silver. Even creatures that rarely ventured near other shy hedgehogs, small owls, timid deer visited with quiet wonder. Every night, the flower shared its soft light. It never boasted, never tried to shine brighter, never asked for anything in return. It simply glowed. One evening, as the moon rose full and bright, it cast a beam of light directly onto the flower warming it from petal to stem. You wished to glow like me, the moon whispered. But you glow in your own way, and it is beautiful. The flower bowed its petals gently, touched deeply by the moon's words. I only wanted to help, it replied softly. And you have, said the moon. Your light may be small, but small lights often make the biggest difference. Chapter 12, Becoming a Legend. Years passed. The flower lived its full cycle under the loving care of the forest. It glowed through countless nights, comforting countless creatures, becoming a legend whispered among the trees. When the time came for the flower to release its seeds, the forest gathered silently. The moon shone brighter than usual, as if holding its breath. A breeze passed softly through the petals, carrying tiny seeds into the night, each one shimmering faintly in memory of the mother plant's light. These seeds drifted across the forest like tiny stars, settling into soft patches of earth. Some landed near streams, some nestled under large trees, some traveled all the way to the forest's edge, and each seed whispered the same dream their parent once held. I want to glow. The forest smiled, knowing its nights would forever be warmer. Chapter 1-3, The Glow That Never Ends. Long after the original flower faded back into the earth, new sprouts appeared. Not all of them glowed. Some grew strong and leafy, offering shade. Some grew wide, offering shelter. Some grew tall, offering branches for birds. But here and there, scattered like pearls on the forest floor, new little blossoms glimmered softly at night. Not bright, not bold, just gentle. Just enough. And every creature from the smallest firefly to the oldest owl knew these flowers were the children of the lantern seed. The legacy of one small dream. The moon, watching over them, felt proud. Chapter 14. The forest sleeps peacefully now on any calm night. If you walked quietly into that forest, you might see tiny glows between the trees. Soft lights that flicker like shy smiles. Lights that don't chase away the night, but make it friendlier. Lights that comfort wanderers and warm the hearts of those who feel alone. These glows are gentle reminders that even small dreams can shine. That light can be quiet and still bright, and that the world is always better when we share the little glow we have. The forest sleeps peacefully under this soft constellation of blossoms, and somewhere beneath the soil, another tiny seed whispers, I want to glow. And the earth answers, you will.